So namaste, welcome. So this month we're going to be focusing more on bhakti yoga. And a lot of the great souls have said that bhakti yoga is a wonderful way to practice at this point during humanity. You know, in this age, this yuga, that's what yogis call an age, a big span of time. And so many people on the planet at the moment would find bhakti yoga the best way. And bhakti yoga is the yoga of the heart, the yoga of relationship with the divine, the yoga of love. And so we're going to start this week by looking at the poems of Hafez, who was one of the Sufi poets. And the Sufi are a very devotional group. You know, they are bhaktas. The Sufis are the whirling dervishes who dance and whirl in order to experience God. And so they're very much a bhakta tradition. And so this poet lived in the 14th century. So this is a long time ago. So I think it's interesting when you hear his poetry, it's translated, and I use the word translated loosely. It's written in English by Daniel Ladinsky, who's a contemporary poet. And so, he has studied meditation and Sufism for many years. And so he would say that really the words of Hafez are so profound and so beautiful. And what he's trying to do is to put them in English words that evoke the Persian, the Farsi that they would have been written in originally. And for him, he's also very aware of the fact that as he grows, then his translation grows. And so he's very aware of, you know, that it's not necessarily exactly what Hafez himself would say. So, so these are, they're not a literal translation from the original. He says it's difficult to capture the essence of Hafez's work. His words may surprise you. And as I say, he says that he himself is learning always, and that his translations themselves are a work in progress. Hafez himself said, "A poet is someone who can pour light into a cup, then raise it to your beautiful, parched, holy mouth. Know the true nature of your beloved in his loving eyes. Your every thought, word, and movement is beautiful. In his loving eyes, your every thought, word, and movement is beautiful." And so he recommends that we listen with your soul, listen to his poetry with your heart open, because he's speaking to your soul and drawing us closer and closer to this beautiful and glorious joy within us. So that's just to set it. So, you know, if some of it seems to surprise you, remember this is people's best effort at writing experience they have had of their own soul, of the divine. And he very often calls he talks about the beloved, he talks about the friend. These are all the Lord of his heart. So I thought what we would do is I'll just read one, say a little something, then read it again, and we'll just spend a couple of minutes on each one as we just meditate together on it, really. Excuse me. So the first one is beautiful hands. This is the kind of friend you are. Without making me realize my soul's anguished history, you slip into my house at night, and while I am sleeping, you silently carry off all my suffering and sordid past in your beautiful hands. Who wouldn't want a friend like that? Who would not want a friend who silently carries off all of our suffering without making me realize my soul's anguished history? So without judgment. And to realize that this is the kind of friend you have, that we have. This is the friend, this is the Lord of our heart, our soul speaking to us. So just closing your eyes, and I'll just read it one more time, and as best we can to listen with our soul and know that these words are true. This is the kind of friend you are. Without making me realize my soul's anguished history, you slip into my house at night, and while I am sleeping, you silently carry off all my suffering and sordid past in your beautiful hands. And if you want to just stay meditative, we'll read the next one. And this is called a singing, cleaning woman. A leaf says, "Sweethearts, don't pick me, for I am busy doing God's work. I am lowering my veins and roots like ropes, with buckets tied to them into the earth's deep lake. I'm drawing water that I offer like a rose to the sky. I am a singing, cleaning woman, dusting all the shells in the air with my elegant green rags. I have a heart. I can know happiness like you." Jai. And how beautiful that is, that that wonderful sense that nature is doing God's work as part of the God's divine play. It's so beautiful and joyful. And if that's God's plan for a leaf, what's God's plan for us? And this, I think, this is wonderful. It's called Your Medicine. If you've not been taking your medicine lately by saying your prayers every day, how can Hafez seriously listen to all your heartaches about life or God? And that brings a smile to my face, you know. We do plenty of whining and complaining about so many things. Your medicine. If you've not been taking your medicine lately by saying your prayers every day, how can Hafez seriously listen to all your heartaches about life or God? Jai. The next is called It Happens All the Time in Heaven. It happens all the time in heaven, and someday it will begin to happen again on earth, that men and women who are married, and men who are lovers, and women who give each other light, often will get down on their knees, and while so tenderly holding their lover's hand, with tears in their eyes, will sincerely speak, saying, "My dear, how can I be more loving to you? How can I be more kind?" It's so exquisitely tender and sacred. With tears in their eyes, will sincerely speak, saying, my dear, how can I be more loving to you? How can I be more kind? Jai. What a way that would be to live with the people that we deal with, being able to say, or even to yearn in our hearts to know, how can I be more loving? How can I be more kind? And this next one, I think, speaks to anybody who is suffering in any way. He talks about loneliness, but it can be any kind of suffering. And this one's called Absolutely Clear. Don't surrender your loneliness so quickly. Let it cut more deep. Let it ferment and season you as few human or even divine ingredients can. Something missing in my heart tonight has made my eyes so soft, my voice so tender, my need of God absolutely clear. Jai. And this is a definite change of mood. It's called 10,000 Idiots. It's always a danger to aspirants on the path when they begin to believe and act as if the 10,000 idiots who so long ruled and lived inside have all packed their bags and skipped town or died. You know, what a wonderful way of saying, you know, we have to keep conscious, be aware. And even as we grow and change and we feel like, oh, I've learned this new lesson and I know this now. And along come the 10,000 idiots. So just for a moment to think about this one. It's always a danger to aspirants on the path when they begin to believe and act as if the 10,000 idiots who so long ruled and lived inside have packed all their bags and skipped town or died. Try. This one is very dear. It's called Some Angels Grumble. But the message in it is so profound. Every time a man upon the path does not keep his word, some angels grumble and have to remove a few of the bets they had placed upon his heart to win. There's so many beautiful aspects to that. You know, first is that reminder of how important it is to keep our word. So important that the angels are exhorting us to do it. We placed a bet on you to win. We thought this time you would do it. You know, every time a man upon the path doesn't keep his word, some angels grumble and have to remove a few of the bets they have placed upon his heart to win. And to know that you have in your corner a host of angels and the great souls, all wanting you to win, all supporting you. You know, it's like you're playing in a match and everybody's, you know, you're playing a game and everyone on the sidelines is cheering for you. So that this time we keep our word. We live the truth. Try. And this is our last one. And before I read this one, you know, yogis would say that, well, Ramakrishna used to say, Love of God is everything. When, when I first read the Sufi poets, well, I guess to go back, when we're struggling in life, Ramakrishna used to say, companionship is greater than willpower. So if we're having a hard time, having spiritual company is such an important part of being a devotee on the path. When I first read the Sufi poets, it felt like they were spiritual companions, they were friends, reaching out across time. From the 14th century, this is, and yet it speaks to our hearts today as if it was written today. So maybe you, on a day you don't have actual physical companionship with other devotees, we can have this companionship with friends from another time. And Hafez says, just sit there. Just sit there right now. Don't do a thing. Just rest. For your separation from God is the hardest work in the world. Let me bring you trays of food and something you like to drink. You can use my soft words as a cushion for your head. Oh. Try. Namaste. Have a wonderful week.